I am gaming. I am gaming. I am gaming podcast.
Hi everyone, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being on the latest episode of I Am Gaming Podcast, a place where I talk about the video game industry, entrepreneurship, and even a little bit of gaming nostalgia. This time around, in episode 14, I'm going to talk why social media presence is a savings account on which you should work in a really specific manner. I know that this might sound like something that's obvious, but if you look at it, and probably many of you have similar experiences, it's anything but that. It's a domain where people tend to fail in one or two distinctive ways, and I'm going to talk about both of them and how you can avoid them by doing something slightly different, but which can ultimately be really useful to your venture, no matter if it's a gaming channel, development of a video game, or anything and everything in between. I believe that this approach can and should be useful to you in the same manner that a savings account is useful to you. Might not be immediately useful, but in the end it is very much so. Before I get into the topic, I just want to say, please check out a really cool blog called the Geek Lab. It's in French and it's written by a really cool guy called Nikos. I'm going to leave the links in the description below. This blog is currently dealing with retro games and dealing with them in a loving and focused manner. Yes, it is in French, so if it's French that you speak, it's going to be perfect for you. If it's not, I tried it out with Google Translate, it's on Blogspot, it works phenomenally. So please check it out and please help the author. I'm going to leave his Twitter link in the description below as well, to continue to write these articles because they really are kick-ass. Now, to the topic. Why is social media presence relevant to you? I don't want to get into that, you probably know already all about it. It is relevant because it's one additional or more additional channels that you can use to send your message out into the world. But more importantly, it's a way to connect with people, to connect in a manner that allows you to gradually build up your community. For any online venture, for any digital venture, and especially for any venture inside of the creative content creation or gaming space, you need to have your social media presence. However, here's where things get complicated. You create your social media platform profiles, all of them are there and ready to be used. And then the ugly truth slowly emerges. No one is visiting them. You are not getting followers. You are not getting those clicks from any of these platforms. And you get into a position where you feel that this social media is irrelevant. You're investing time and effort into it and you're getting nothing from it. That's a problem. In that point, many simply decide to walk away. They drop the whole process, they drop their social media presence and leave their channels unattended. At the same time, they continue with their original venture. It's not a problem if you decide to stop doing, for example, your YouTube videos, gaming YouTube videos, and decide to do something else. That's fine. However, you continue to make your videos, but for some reason you just say, for example, Twitter is simply not worth it. I tweet out every video, I get 0 clicks, I get 0 new followers, nothing is happening over there, so why the hell do I bother? Now, social media is a layered science that's mixed with alchemy. There are plenty of ways how you can read about social media, especially individual channels, and learn how you can gradually boost your game to get more exposure, to find small growth hacks that can help you expand and enrich your presence in a way that allows you to get better results. However, that's time consuming and that's complicated and that takes a lot of effort. You can do that, but that's also another extreme of the previous option, which is basically dropping it all. The truth is that you don't have to choose between those two. You don't have to be a Twitter guy 24/7, for example, or be somebody who tries out Twitter for 6 months has 50 followers and says, forget about it. There is a middle road. But first, you need to understand that social media is not something you engage with when you have a venture because it's fun. It can be fun sometimes, but at its default state, it's probably not going to be fun. It's just going to be another task you perform. However, if you check out the basic elements of any social media network, you will lose probably between 2 and 3 hours. Things are not that complicated. Things on a higher, more elevated level or a new layer are complicated. But you are not a seller of affiliate products who has to get better sales or won't get paid. You have your primary venture. This is basically its support network. But it's still a network you have to keep going because people will Google you. Potential customers, viewers, players, everyone will sooner or later Google you, and if they find your social media networks or accounts that are inactive, they might simply believe you stopped doing that. Rarely will people continue investigating and think, okay, maybe they just stopped following up on their Twitter account. They will first and foremost think that it's dead. You need to avoid that. So in a way, it's better not to set up social media if you don't plan to follow up on it. Otherwise, you're sending a wrong kind of message. However, the basics of any social media, network, platform, whatever, are simple. You can quickly get into those basics and then you set up a system where you simply keep the same social media going. It's great if you see an opening forming where you, for example, get a lot of attention on Twitter if you have a game that you share through a particular hashtag like Screenshot Saturday. It gets a lot of attention, you use that attention. I already talked about it in my previous episodes. That's cool. Of course, that's something everyone wants to experience, but it's not the primary purpose of social media platforms and their accounts you're running there. Their purpose is to simply mark out your presence. You need to balance between the layers that you can attain and the ones that you need. So it would be great if everybody was a Twitter growth hacking wizard or somebody who can spend 2 hours per day learning about the network, expanding their social media circle and getting better results. But realistically, almost nobody is that. So you take some level between that, or a layer between that and the layer which simply says, I'm dropping this, I'm never going to log on to the Twitter account ever again. By that, you get your social media basic network. It's there to support your venture, it's there to keep it going. It's not there to sell it first and foremost. You're not LeBron James who has millions of followers. Your single tweet probably won't sell you anything. But if, for example, if you say I'm going to tweet 2 times per week, you have your basics covered. You don't need to have any more tweets than that. Keep it at 2 per week and you're golden. Do that with every social media account you have. If you figure out you have too many, don't open additional ones. But don't open them and then neglect them. That's absolutely the wrong message you don't want to send, and Google sees it all. It's going to tell it all to anyone who searches you at some point. So in essence, social media is and can be like a savings account. You invest your time and effort into it, not so you get benefits and payoffs immediately, but because you know that you have a growing potential. Nobody can take that potential away. Instead, just like with savings, you have that slowly growing, ever bigger potential. It might be growing with the pace of a snail, but its potential is still there, and most importantly, it's not getting smaller. That's why if you operate any kind of gaming or content creation type of a venture, you need to have your social media networks and accounts as many as you can take on, and keep them active, keep them going, even if that includes a really spread out system of posting. With that crucial savings account in the form of social media will be there for you in the future as well as in the present. Thank you so much for listening. This was episode 14. Now here is the list of my Patreon supporters. Thank you everyone for helping keep I Am Gaming podcast going. Your support means so much to me, and I can only say thank you very much. This was all I had for you. Thank you so much for being on the 14th episode of I Am Gaming. Until the next episode, consider subscribing, and thank you so much if you do. Again, you've been awesome for listening, and have a great day. Bye bye.